This is the Good Grief, Good God Show, where we feature raw, honest conversation about surviving things that suck. This episode begins after a special extended introduction, so skip ahead to the 4-minute mark if you're ready to dive straight into the episode. So first, allow me to introduce to you your host, songwriter Brad Warren of the Warren Brothers, has written songs recorded by artists including Tim McGraw and Faith Hill to Taylor Swift, with 9 reaching #1. This show, dedicated to Brad's oldest son, Sage, tragically lost to fentanyl poisoning, offers guests a unique place to share their stories, all while Brad brings to each conversation a perspective shaped by 20 years in recovery, the grief of losing a child, and faith, along with his sense of humor that you'll find throughout each conversation. Today, Brad welcomes a 3-time Emmy Award-winning journalist and former sports reporter and anchor at WSMV-TV in Nashville, who is now a financial analyst, Aaron Solomon. Away from work, Aaron is simply a dad with 2 children, son Grant and daughter Gracie. And now, an extended introduction.
In July of 2020, just 2 months after Brad lost his son Sage, Aaron's 18-year-old son Grant was tragically killed in a freak car accident. And that's the foundation of this conversation. 2 fathers connected by unimaginable grief and the faith it takes to face each new day. But unfortunately, there are also serious allegations, not only surrounding that tragedy, including claims that Aaron was directly responsible for Grant's accident, but also dating back to his 13-year marriage that ended in 2014. That needs to be put into proper context before this episode. Soon after Aaron filed for divorce in 2013, Aaron's ex-wife started making a series of damaging and unfounded accusations, claims of abuse toward herself and their children, and even an allegation that Aaron had tried to end her life. Those accusations continued and expanded to include the circumstances surrounding Grant's death, fueling a wave of online speculation and conspiracy theories that quickly spun far beyond control. These accusations started with Aaron's ex-wife and fueled by the online true crime community, whose videos have been viewed by millions, ignored years of documented facts. Those include nearly a decade of family court rulings, granting Aaron full custody of his children throughout the divorce and primary custody. After the divorce, his ex-wife's own admission that she lied about him trying to take her life, and dozens of other examples proving her claims were false. Instead, they built sweeping narratives, driven almost entirely by his ex-wife's accusations, suggesting that everyone from police and judges, including local, county, state, and federal law enforcement, school employees, church leaders, hospital staff, and even the governor of Tennessee, are somehow part of a massive cover-up. Meanwhile, those closest to the situation, including members of Aaron's ex-wife's own family, have publicly stood by him, affirming the accusations were never true. As for a video published to YouTube by Aaron's daughter a year after Grant's accident, it's important to understand that those same individuals, along with close friends and professionals, acknowledge that parental alienation is real and played a central role in that video. This episode, taped in February of 2025, Aaron takes the opportunity to speak for himself. He'll do so again on October 21st in a follow-up episode recorded in May of 2025, addressing the April arrest of his ex-wife in a plot to take Aaron's life, for which she was later indicted in July of that same year. It's important to note she is innocent until proven guilty. To close, this episode isn't about headlines or hashtags. It's about grief and faith and the strength it takes to keep standing when the world tries to tear you down. As we lead into this episode, here's a photo of one of the last pictures taken of Grant at his birthday party taken just a few weeks before his accident, attended by his entire family, including Aaron's ex-wife. And now here is today's episode, dedicated to the loving memory of Sage Warren and Grant Solomon.
All right, you ready, Matt? You have all your things on? Well, Aaron Solomon, thank you so much for doing this. There's so many facets to this that we'll try to get to them, because there's so many important, and let me just tell everyone before we start that your story is one that when I start to feel sorry for myself in my grief, I'm like, what you have gone through since the death of your son, you can't think of anything being worse than that. And what you've gone through is wow. I'm sorry that you've gone through it. I love the idea that we're going to just talk about things. I really, really stand by the idea that outrage is the easy response to something. Oh, I'm out. And we're all very outraged about something that we haven't researched and we just take to be true because somebody said it.
That's our society for the past 5, 6, 7 years anyway.
It's our society for probably longer than that. And hopefully there's some changes being made in that. But the outrage without investigation, the jumping on board, we love to picket and jump on board something. And I really so happy that you decided to tell your story to us today. There's even things I don't know because you're my friend and I wanted to have you on. I know you and I wanted you to be able to do this. But more importantly, I kind of feel like this is a good lesson for everybody to pause before, investigate before we come to our conclusions. So I don't want to miss Grant in this thing, and we won't. This is your son that we lost, and we want to talk about him. Start wherever you want to start, and then we'll just talk.
Oh, man. Well, I want to say thanks for having me on, but also thanks for just being you, man.
Thanks, man.
And I will get emotional today.
Yeah.
And I don't care.
Yeah.
That's one thing you learn, I think, when you lose a child is I've cried in the middle of a restaurant, at a stoplight, in a movie, anywhere, and it's like it is what it is. Yeah. It's okay.
Yeah,
I don't
not
care.
worried about it.
But I appreciate you because we have become good friends. We were acquaintances thanks to a mutual friend. We met like 18 years ago. But you and Casey Beathard both reached out within 2 days of Grant's accident. Both of you reached out, and I had missed somehow that you had lost Sage just 2 months prior to Grant's accident. And then Casey, I knew about Clay and his was like 8 months prior. And you both reached out and were like, hey, I'm here to talk. And I was like, dude, I appreciate it. And we will talk. Thankfully, I was actually able to see Casey in person. I didn't see him at the funeral. He was at my son's funeral, but I saw him the next day. And that helped. And his strength is insane. Yeah, he was just 8 months. And I mean,
he's a spiritual giant.
He's a whole nother, I'm like, dude, I want to be like him when I grow up.
One of the things about Casey that I had to call him back later and thank him for was it was actually December 21st, because on my birthday when Clay died, their son.
Right.
January, February, March, April, May. It had been 5 months. And when Sage died, we just thought that they had all the time in the world, that they had processed this perfectly and they were all good.
Right.
And we went and sat and ate breakfast together, and they just let us just sit there and bawl and gush and what do we do? And they were amazing. And now that I think about it, I'm like, oh my God, they were 6 months into their grief. Yeah. And we're acting like they had it all. What a great guy. Yeah.
I know. So much
spiritual
more
giant.
Farther. I mean, he felt like he was farther along in the process when I talked to him, and it had only been 8 months. And then Sage died in May. This is you contact me on July 20th. We meet like less than 3 weeks later for coffee.
And we spent 3 or 4 hours.
4 hours. It was 4 hours was gone. And we just hit it like this. And I was like, oh my gosh, I need this. And we even talked at that time, how about we get some guys together and do this together? Because that had been mentioned to me. You had mentioned it, and then, a couple months later, you started the group that meets in this room, and we need it. And the group has grown. But I appreciate for you reaching out and we've kind of been on this journey around the same timeline. And I don't know even where to begin on that, but thank you. And of course, how things work out. Our sons are buried about maybe 60 feet apart, about the distance of a pitch, and both of them are baseball players, along with, I don't know, 5 or 6 other kids who were buried back there together, and that are friends of ours in this group. Yeah. And it's like, those are not coincidences.
No, it's the strangest. I mean, the group, and we've talked about it on here a lot, but it's a tight knit. Like, I've never met a group of better fathers in my life than that group. Yeah. And so there's some of the pressures.
No, you get the feeling. I mean, you just know immediately. Yeah.
Yeah. The pressures of, oh my God, what did I do? I've done something horrendous as a human being, as a parent, to have lost my kid. Just whatever you had to do with it. Even, what our friend Mark Robbins in the group is like, his daughter died in the emergency room from a condition she'd had for her whole life. But somehow you managed to find your way to guilt about, I should have done this and I should have done that. And then dealing with, it's been a full-time job just dealing with that and trying to exist in life since then. And the things that you've had to deal with. Everyone, just listen to this story. But
just the grief itself, especially the dads in the group, I have learned what I think is important for viewers and listeners to know that may hear this is that, man, everybody handles grief differently. And even I know men and women or husband and wife can handle things differently. Mother, father, I was divorced for years before my son died. That was handled very differently. But even within men within the group, like a dad that I didn't know him, but I saw that his son had passed. I went to the funeral just to meet him, to invite him to the group. And he did not want to go to baseball or football games. He could not do that. He couldn't handle that.
I couldn't either.
Whereas for me, I needed that. Yeah. I needed to go because my son died right before his senior year of high school. So he played basketball and baseball. So I went to the basketball games because his friends, there's a part of Grant in all of his friends.
Yeah.
So being around his friends made me feel close to him. Baseball was the same way. I actually had a dad of one of the other baseball players say, "Hey, you're going to do the announcing, the PA announcing for the team again, right?" And I had thought about not doing because I had done it the prior 3 years and it was his senior year. And I was like, well, I don't know. And he's like, well, we want you to. And that felt good. It was hard, especially senior day for basketball and baseball. But it also felt good to be with his friends.
Yeah.
And but not everybody handles that. Not everybody wants to be around the games and the friend. Like, it's hard for them. But the other thing that I think people should know is that people who haven't lost a child or just know you, they're afraid. A lot of them are afraid to bring up your child. Mm-hmm. And we want you to know out there, don't be afraid we want to talk about our kids. We want to. We still do. It's been almost 5 years for both of us. Yeah. And I still want to talk about my son all the time.
All the time. And it can be in casual conversation. Yeah. It doesn't have to be, I mean, sometimes it will turn into that moment and sometimes it won't, but he was here. Like, he was here. We can talk about him. My favorite thing is meeting. Okay. So I love a few of Sage's friends. His friend Elton comes over and brings his baby, and I love Sage's best friend in high school. They were the two wide receivers and the two cornerbacks in football together, and they, it warms my heart to be around his friends that, certain ones that I see more, especially, but I love also meeting someone that I didn't know that knew him well.
Yes.
So where we were playing a corporate show where he worked at the Renaissance Hotel, and this, recently, and this girl, she talked to my brother first because she wanted to make sure it was okay. And he's like, "Oh my God, he'll want to meet you." So, and I just hugged this girl probably a little too. She was telling stories, and it was amazing how well she knew. And she was like, "Oh my God, he got us all in trouble one day, everyone on staff, because he had everyone laughing so hard. The manager would come to, "Stop laughing," and he would be behind it, and he was just making everyone laugh so hard. Yeah, and that was absolutely. Like
father, like son, huh?
Like father, like son. Yeah. Did not know when to be serious.
And uncle too.
Yeah, exactly. And it's one of my favorite things to meet someone like, "Oh my God, you really knew him." Like, she said, "Yeah, we were in the same friend group. We hung out." And it was like, so that is kind of one of my favorite things. But I think people mistake that, don't bring that up. No, it's not.
No, we love that.
Maybe some other, not in our group. Our dads are too healthy for that. Yeah. We want to hear their name.
Yes. Yeah, we talk about that. And the other thing that you just made me think about was the week of my son's accident, the stories that I heard that I did not know about your kid, about your child. And they're amazing. Like, it moved me. Like, it seriously moved me that whole week while you're numb, you're in disbelief. You're like, there's no way this is real. Am I in a dream? Am I going to wake up? At the same time, I constantly had people telling me these amazing stories that I did not even know about my son that were cool. Like, just one quick example was the guy at the school that was the janitor. He just came up and said, "Hey, I just want you to know that every time your son passed me in the hall, he would come up, look me in the eye, shake my hand, and ask me how my day was going." And I'm like, dude, that's so awesome. And I didn't know that. Another one, I can't remember. I think she might have spoken at his funeral, but one of his classmates, they'd gone to school together since third grade. And she had kept a note or a message that he had given her for her 16th birthday, just saying, and he had this way of talking to his friends that I had no idea. It was like he was 80 instead of 16 or 17 or 18, just like very deep. And they had never dated, but they were friends. And he was just like, happy birthday. I hope you get to celebrate the special day and take every day because we're not promised tomorrow. Like stuff that is more, but she remembered that and it made her feel good. And then my sister had a story that I didn't know till later. She's in Murfreesboro and she went to her school before school was opening up, and she saw a family out front praying together as a family, and school wasn't in yet. And she goes up to him and is like, hey, just checking to see, everything okay? And they're like, yeah, we're praying for you and your family. And she was like, really? She was like, yeah, because your nephew last season during basketball season, my son was playing against that school, and during the pregame layup line, he would talk to guys on the other team during the game, talk to refs, talk to people in the game. But I guess he just noticed this little freshman on the other team, and my son was a junior, and I don't know. He just started talking to him at the back end of the layup line as each team is, and he was like encouraging him, like, "Hey man, keep working, and I see you got something." Like, just picked him out of the lineup and was talking him up. And they said after the fact that meant a lot, to their son. And it's like, what even is that? So all these stories that week made me want to be a better person.
Yeah, we
and I've tried to be that way, more of that. I mean, that's what his classmates did this bracelet within a couple of weeks of his accident, and it's got Philippians 2:3 on it, which they chose, and that the gist of that verse is just be humble and put others above yourself. So I've worn that every day since. I've tried to do that since hearing all of those things about him. The other thing is if some young person I see or notice something that stands out, I try to tell the parents right now. I'm like,
I was just going to say,
your daughter just did an amazing, they're so awesome.
Yeah. If you have something,
while they're here,
if you have something to say good about someone's child, tell them.
Yes.
Tell them. Parenthood's so hard. It don't matter if they don't have to be dead. If they're right there, sitting right there. I've started doing that years ago, even before Sage died. And honestly, I have some similar stories. This football parent, this came up and their kid was two grades behind and was just back up at a position and how much he had helped him or whatever. And I'm like, oh, let's just wild. Because it didn't always seem like his personality, but there's so much more to them than we know, because they always say, I've heard it, that a parent and a child never actually know each other because they're both always performing their roles in front of each other. Parent is performing as I need to be a good parent, and the child's performing as I need to be a good child, and that you don't ever really, really know your children because of the performance that both is going on. I don't know if that's true or not, but it's an interesting thing to contemplate, because there's definitely some truth in it. I get like every now and then Jude, my youngest, will be like, Dad, can you just not be a parent about this one? Can you just be? And I'm like, all right. Well, you'd have a different perspective of that now, because I think you can get caught up in, like, the other thing. I mean, obviously people know that you're a tattoo person. I've never been a tattoo person my entire life. You were on Channel 4 News when that would have been frowned upon back in the day.
Right.
You were the sports guy, right? On Channel 4.
Yeah, sports, and then morning show for about 5 years too. But I was just never, it wasn't anti, but I was like, it's just not me. Well, as soon as my son died, I was like, well, I'm getting a tattoo. Didn't even know what it was going to be. It took me, his accident was July 20th of 2020. And I waited till his first birthday in heaven of 2021 in June to get a tattoo on his birthday. And I decided to get his signature that's on his driver's license. And then because I wanted something very personal that was about him, but then I also added the 86,400 underneath it. And of course, that's how many seconds are in a day. And I put that there for multiple reasons, but I've always been a look ahead plan. Let's plan. I want to be ahead of the game. I want to be early places. I don't want to be, and when you lose a child, it makes me at least try to be in the moment more. I try to be where I am right now, not on my phone. I'm here with us right now. I'm trying to put what happened 30 minutes ago away. I'm not looking ahead to tomorrow. I'm trying to be more present in everything that I do. And that's a reminder of that. The other thing about that, which is I had no idea, is I used to send a group text just to me and my daughter and my son, Grant and Gracie, and I would just send a text probably twice a week. It'd be, hey, love you guys, whether they're with me or not. They may be there at school, or I'm just thinking, or I might send a motivational quote, or I might send a Bible verse that struck a chord, or just something positive. And I didn't know this until after the funeral. I looked back at my last text to just them, which was the day before his accident, and it actually was, hey, there's 86,400 seconds in a day. Make the most of where you are in that moment. Then at his funeral, his baseball coach, and he loved his basketball coach and his baseball coach. And that's one of the reasons I love sports so much, because coaches can impact your life forever. But his baseball coach, I didn't know this, and I know his coach really well, and I was at all their games. But his baseball coach started something with Grant that he would just say 86,400. And that was a trigger meant for him, as in sports, of like, I forget that if you're on the mound, you just threw a ball that was a bad pitch. Or if you're batting, you just swung and missed. It's your reset, 86,400. Be right here, right now, which in sports is very important, to be just right here, right now.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was their thing. Well, then my son started turning it back on him sometimes. If the coach got upset with an ump call or, something that happened, my son would say it back to him every once in a while. Hey, coach, 86,400. And I and I didn't know that. So there's multiple reasons behind it.
To be able to say that without getting in trouble.
Yeah. Exactly. So that's another reason I put it on there, is that there's a connection to him and that, and a reminder to me every day, just be right, because that's all that matters, is right here, right now, because we're not promised. None of us are promised tomorrow.
So it's going to be a little tough, I'm sure, but let's talk about the day he died. And he was a great baseball player. He's a pitcher, college aspirations. Yeah. You're going to pitching practice.
Yeah. And that's the dads in our group, all of our children went in a different way, even though some are similar. Some are overdoses, some are suicides, some are accidents, some are car accidents, some are, dying in an ER of, some kind of rare sickness. I mean, they're all kind of different, but yeah, my son loved baseball, wanted to play college baseball, was a really good pitcher, had injured his shoulder a little bit his sophomore season playing basketball, dove on the floor for a loose ball. And I'm like, dude, don't ever dive on the ball, leading with your shoulder. Don't do that, please. But that's how competitive he was. But so he was trying to build velocity back, even though he had command and control and lots of pitches, and he was being recruited. But there was a place up in Gallatin that was at the time producing some really good results for kids that we knew, increasing velocity. So it was a velocity building kind of place. And we had actually toured it as a family, me and his mom and his sister and him, a month before. We had toured the facility a month before. And
even as divorced parents, you were still at that point, you were
talking, especially that summer. Yeah.
So we were both involved in, okay.
Yeah, we were at games together talking.
Some of this I don't even know.
Yeah. So he was playing in a tournament in Hendersonville, and we're like, hey, let's shoot over and check the place out. And he was like, yeah, that's cool. And so we all went. We all drove separately, but we went. We all checked it out. And guys that were playing college already, that were throwing 100 miles an hour, were there, and college guys and high school guys. And so we checked it out. And a month later, he decided, hey, I do want to, and I left it up to him. I was like, you can do it's a long drive. We live in Franklin, but if you want to do it a couple times a week or whatever, I'll help you do it. And he chose to do it. So we set up, and the way it worked was you had, like, you go in and there's like an evaluation hour where they have all these computers and analyze your mechanics and all that, and see where they can maybe tweak mechanics as well as what kind of workout program we're going to do for you. So it was the initial evaluation period session, and it was 9:00 on a Monday morning, and we drove separately, but we were going to meet there. I was going to be there for it. And one of the things that I think is maybe unique in my position from losing a child is that I also lost my dad when I was a baby. So my dad died in Vietnam, helicopter pilot, was shot down when I was 7 months old. So I never knew my birth father. And I didn't realize till much later on that I think because of that, it was being a dad and being an involved dad was the most important thing in my life.
And as little as I knew you before this happened, we were acquaintances, I knew that. That was the most obvious thing about you.
But I think that comes from, and even though my mom remarried a guy who's a great guy who's actually battling stage 4 cancer right now, and we're dealing with that. I was at a hospital till 10:00 last night. And who knows how much time we have with him. But he was a great dad raising me. But there's still a part of you that never got to know your birth father, and I would go visit my grandmother, his mother, and that was my connection to that world of learning about him. And I would go visit her for a week or two in the summertime as a kid. And that was where I got to learn about him. But I think because I didn't realize until an adult that being a parent it was so important to me to be an involved dad, because I had seen just in life of how some dads are, not very involved. They don't go to games. Like, they put their career first, which I don't blame people for doing that, but I'm not putting career first. I put my kids first. And so I never missed games. I mean, I went to practices. I went to medical appointments. I mean, it was all important just to be there. And so ironically, even that morning, Monday morning, July 20th, my ex-wife, his mother, actually texted me that morning and said, "Hey, I'm not able to go. You're able to go, right? Because it'd be great for one of us to be there." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm going." And I sent the address to my son to make sure. And we both put it in Waze, and we happened to catch up to each other on the interstate, probably 10 minutes out. So we're on I-65 North, and we catch up to each other. I give him a call in the car, and I'm like, "Hey man, I'm right behind you," and blah, blah, blah. He's like, "All right." And we're early. We're not in a rush, which is rare for a teenager to be on time on a morning, 9:00 in the morning in July. And of course that was COVID anyway. That was all 2020. And, but we're early. So I trail him in to this facility, and any kind of training baseball facility is a metal sided building, somewhere utility, building. And it's right on Highway 109, which is really busy right near downtown Gallatin. And he pulls in and pulls up, and their parking lot was kind of odd in that it was inclined, how you kind of parked. The building was up here. He parked his 4-door Tacoma up, and I pulled into the left of him. So, and
right next to him, or
yeah. So you're parked on an incline like this, and so it's July, it's already hot, and we're like we pull in at 8:41. I remember glancing at the clock as we're pulling in, so we're early. We're supposed to be there at 9. Somebody's already there, but we're not late, and so I'm about to get out of my car. I look over and I see that he has gotten out of his driver's side door. He was by himself. And I see that he was about to open his back door on the driver's side to get his bag out with his glove and shoes and what his weighted baseballs that he did warm-ups to, and his bands.
The side door, not the rear door.
Rear, 4-door, but on the driver's side. So the same side. I still see him standing right there.
The back hatch. Okay, I'm trying.
Yeah, not a hatch. Yeah, it's a 4-door pickup truck, and so I see him standing right there beside it. But right about that time, I get a work email, and I'm like, all right, I need to check this to make sure it's not something I need to address before I go in here. We're early, we're not late. So I look at my phone, I'm looking in my lap, my car's running because the air conditioner's running. And I don't know the time reference, maybe 20, 30 seconds, I'm looking to check an email to make sure it's something I don't need to address. But when I look back up and over, I don't see him or the truck. And I'm like, and I look back and I see the truck resting in the ditch behind me. So it has come down the driveway, down a steep ditch, and it's resting in the ditch. And I jump out and I've got a sick feeling, but I'm totally expecting, I'm thinking in my mind quickly, it started rolling for whatever reason, and it probably knocked him down, and he's probably lying next to me on the pavement, but I don't see him. So I'm expecting to run outside my car and run around and see him lying there, and I don't see him. And my heart sinks a little bit, and then I'm like, all right. So I start walking towards the ditch, and I'm like, maybe he jumped back in the truck, tried to stop it. So I look through the windshield, and I don't see him inside, and I don't see him anywhere. And then I look down, and he's trapped underneath the truck. And I almost fainted, but I immediately, just being in the news business for years and showing up to scenes of accidents and things and hearing 911 calls, I know that me and three dudes can't help it. I know that we need pros with the right stuff quick. I'm thinking it's bad, but I'm not even thinking anything like death at all. I'm thinking this is bad. He's trapped underneath the truck.
Can you see his face?
No, I can just see that he's kind of between the wheel wells and the middle of the truck. So wheels are not on him, but he's underneath it. And he's down in this ditch. No, I don't hear anything. So he's knocked out. I'm about to faint, and I'm at the top of the ditch. So I'm just maybe 10, 12 feet away. But I did sit down because I almost fainted. But I know I've got to call 911 immediately. I need people here. Of course, they keep going on, and they're asking descriptions. And I'm like, hey, bad accident right here. Here's the address. I know the address because I just had it in my, and my son's underneath, and luckily we weren't very far from the hospital. And in the meantime, a couple of construction guys had been driving down 109 and pulled over to stop because they saw the accident happen. And they rush over to help, and hey, can we help? And they're at the bottom of the ditch, and I'm on dispatch right here, on with dispatch. We need the ambulance, and they're asking questions. Is he breathing? Is he saying anything? And do you see any blood? Is there any blood coming from here or there? And I'm trying to ask those guys stuff, and it's all kind of a blur. And I'm trying to keep clear-minded too, because I know that whatever information I give them, their people can be prepared as most as possible when they get there, which is true. They got there, it seemed pretty quick in my mind. And the truck was a little bit tilted, so it was not on level ground, which is dangerous too. Like, even if me and three dudes can pick up the truck somehow, we don't have the tools to move him necessarily to help him. So we need all that. Well, as soon as paramedics and everybody get there, they jump out with jacks, braces, board to put it. I mean, it's like a whole bunch of hands on deck quick. In the meantime, a police officer comes over to get me and says, "Here, come with me, Mr. Solomon. Let me get your statement inside the building." And I'm mad. I'm like, do not take me away from him. Don't take me away from him. In hindsight, I think he was trying to help me not perhaps see something not pretty. But I go in and I'm frantically trying to write down what just happened. And in the meantime, I know they're trying to work on him. And I said, I got to follow the ambulance to the hospital. And it's just me and him from a family perspective. And this is all happening, and a couple of people had come out from the baseball facility, and it's all a blur. And I write down my statement, and I'm like, I got to get back out there. I got to follow the ambulance. And I'm following the ambulance, and I do a group text, because at baseball games, I would always kind of give play-by-play to whoever family was not there, all family on both sides of the family. Hey, he's pitching great, whatever. Send a couple of video clips or whatever, because I always videoed every time he played. And so I just did a quick family group thing. Hey, Grant's been in a horrible accident in Gallatin. Get here quick. I called his mom. He's been in a bad accident. Get here quick. And I follow the ambulance to the hospital. I go in, and it's never a good sign when they have the chaplain waiting for you in a private waiting room. And he and I sit there a while, and we're praying. And in the meantime, my ex-wife is calling, what's going on? I'm like, I don't know. The doctors are working on him. I don't know. I don't know. He's not conscious. I don't know. I don't know anything. And then all of a sudden, the doctor comes in, and it's just me and the doctor and the chaplain, and gives me the news that no parent ever wants to hear. And I just lose it. I'm like, this is not real. Like, there's something else you can do. Like, this is not real. And I'm by myself, except with two strangers, a doctor and a chaplain, and lose it, just rolling around on the floor. And I'm like, you, and they're like, no, we have life flight here waiting to take him to Vanderbilt. We can't even resuscitate him to the point of getting him on life flight. That's how bad it is. Multiple injuries, internal injuries, all this stuff. And so now I'm just in total shock and disbelief and in pain and rolling around on the floor, and they're trying to console me. And then my ex-wife is calling, what's going on? What's the latest? And I was like, just get here. Like, my sister's calling. What's going on? I'm on the way. What's happening? Just get here. Like, you can't tell anybody that you love on the phone while they're driving.
I did the same thing. I did not tell Michelle.
You just be there.
Yeah.
And then my sister and my ex-wife get there about the same time. But then literally it's like every person that comes, we're telling them. And it's the whole same total breakdown, grandparents, total breakdown, girlfriend, total breakdown, my daughter. Like, they're all coming at different times. And in the meantime, there's 100 people outside the hospital praying, wondering and waiting. His friends, and because we had put it out there to pray, it's all over the place on, social media and word spreading. And his baseball team, he was not feeling well. We thought he had COVID there for a minute. That's why he actually would have been if he had not been feeling not great the week prior, he would have been in Atlanta at the biggest tournament of the year pitching that day. That's where he should have been. Well, where he would have been had God not had his plan. So, then then you're just numb. And then we go to a vigil at the school that night.
We'll get to this too, but I want this description of how he died and the fact that there were witnesses. This story that ensues doesn't make any sense whatsoever that anyone would ever come up with some explanation that you killed your son. I just want to point out, like, I just heard the story of that there were. It's wild. Anyone that knew you a little bit, like how much you loved your son. It's just how this thing wound up getting so far out of whack is stunning. The power of
social media.
Yeah.
And people believing what they see on social media. Yeah. No. I mean, from that standpoint of his death, absolutely none of it makes sense from a standpoint of, I think, as you said, anybody who knows me at all knows I love my kids more than anything.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
So there's that. There's also no motive for me to hurt my son. There's also logistically, he and I, what most of the world doesn't know, because it was COVID, they played 5 high school games before COVID canceled everything. But then they ended up having a travel ball season that summer. So as soon as they canceled, I was like, man, this COVID thing is only going to last like a month. We need to stay in shape. You know, he's like, yeah, I agree. Because this was a big summer, the summer after his junior year. So he was planning on having a really good summer. So we were working out every single day. I'd get done working. I'd meet him at a field out in the middle of Leaper's Fork, out in the middle of nowhere. And we would practice batting. And then we'd work on long toss. We'd work on his pitching every day, like 5 days a week. Sometimes by ourselves. But then it grew. It grew to be like dudes from other teams, his own teammates. It grew to be like a bunch of kids out there practicing, staying in shape and playing, being ready. Then the travel ball season began and we ended up going to tournaments and he had a fabulous summer. He was undefeated. He was pitching great and all this kind of stuff. But they were out. I mean, he and I just 2 days before his accident were out in Leaper's Fork throwing by ourselves out in the middle of nowhere. So if I wanted to do something ill to my son, I could have done it anywhere at any time.
I mean,
not on a busy highway. Well, Highway 109 by Gallatin is like as busy as they get.
Well, you
and we're about to go into an appointment.
Yeah, that's just the wildest.
No.
The wildest
so
thing.
For
and
me,
when I got the news, our common friend Tim McGraw called me and said, "Hey, you know Aaron Solomon?" And he just knowing that we had just lost Sage, and he said his son just died yesterday. I was like, oh, what? And the first thing that went through my head, the very little that I knew you, I mean, we saw each other at Innsbruck football games, was, oh my God, that kid was his life. Like, this is gonna be really hard for him. Like that, there's the idea that it wound up going where it was going is crazy. If you know, I mean, just the
one sad, and I think it might speak to also perhaps if I'm trying to show any kind of empathy of how different people handle grief different ways, because you can be angry.
You can use it as a weapon. You can use grief as a weapon, and it's not okay.
You can use grief as a weapon. And as we know from dads, and I mean, we all have experienced anger with losing our child, different degrees of it.
Yeah.
But I mean, we've had dads in this room that we see the anger that's like, whoa.
Yeah.
And angry at everybody, angry at God, like just angry at, and you're like, and then over the course of a couple of years, you see it kind of dissipate and temper down. Yeah. But no, it's easy to get in. And the first night I'm lying in my bed, can't go to sleep, of course. And I look, you know, I'm like, and of course you go, why? Like, why God? Like,
yeah.
Why does my dad die at 24 and my son died at 18? What's going on? Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? And I love how you and a few others in the group bring the whole AA element, and you talk about recovery and all that.
It's everywhere.
I used to be, prior to losing a child, I could be kind of judgy towards people that were addicted or an alcoholic or drank themselves to death out of sorrow or whatever. But dude.
Get it now.
All right. So I'm a casual, have a drink every once in a while kind of a thing. Not an everyday drink or whatever. But I had a couple people tell me when Grant died, hey man, be careful. Be careful. So I intentionally didn't have anything.
So be careful that you aren't medicating? That you're not medicating?
Don't try to mask the pain with something else.
Yeah, because it inevitably won't
like
work.
Drinking. Yeah. And so, because, I mean, we know dads in the group that they did, and it wasn't good.
No.
Well, and I used to judge that kind of person. Like, man, where's your self-control? Dude, where's your self-control? Well, a month after Grant's accident, I'm having dinner by myself in a restaurant, sitting at the bar because I'm by myself and it's easy to get service that way. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, you know what? I haven't had a drink in a month. I'll have one. I got to the bottom of that first drink and I was like, oh man, there's the feeling of like, F it, give me another one.
Yeah.
I don't care. Let me drink my sorrows away. And I said, if I have one more, I might have 20 and just be in the floor. And I can't do that. I'm not going to go down that path. But it gave me appreciation for people that like, I can't blame somebody because thankfully I thought, but I'm sitting there going, man,
you saw the switch.
Oh,
My first thought is you're so not an alcoholic. You had the same thought came in because
thankfully I had the awareness.
thankfully you have the awareness. But yeah, with someone like us, the pause button is not like at the end of that first drink is the top of that second one, and yeah,
it would have led to 20.
Yeah,
and I would have become. But I even said I don't want to be because. But I was like, man, I felt like I wanted to just lay in bed and sleep all day and drink vodka till I died. That's what I wanted to do. But I was like, Grant doesn't want me to do that. But I knew, even though I had some of those thoughts of just like, man, I'll just lay in bed and drink vodka till I die, because that's what I wanted to do, is that Grant, that's not what Grant wants me to do. That wouldn't honor him. And even that first night, and we've talked about this in our dad's group, I knew the first day where he was and that he was okay. And we've talked about this. I've never been overly churchy or religious. I've always been a believer, and I think I've always been a believer that there's a high being and that there's a God, because I lost my dad when I was an infant, so I can't explain it any other way. But I do not know how you survive losing a child without having faith in something. I just I could not have made it. But I knew where he was. I knew the first day he was in heaven because the school did a vigil that night, the night of his accident. You're numb all day. You're still in disbelief. It's like a dream. Me and my ex-wife rode together from her place, because after we came back from the hospital, I went to her place. Then we went to the vigil together. We're standing there, and I'll never forget, it had been raining, but then it stopped when it was about time to start, because I think it was supposed to start at like 7. And I don't know, there's 300 people there at the school, kind of in a half circle or like an arch. And there's like I don't know if there's a podium or if it was just, there was Ed Cash, music guy, great dude. Yep. His son Kitch played with my son. He's playing a couple. Oh my God, he's playing a couple songs. He and his wife are up there. They stopped playing a song. He says Grant's name, and the second he says Grant's name, the brightest double rainbow ever appears in the same mirror image of our arch right there. And we're all like, okay, we know who that is and where he is. Like, it was just like, oh my gosh, it was the most vibrant rainbow I've ever seen. It's a double rainbow right there. It was almost like you could touch it, like right. And it's the minute that Ed Cash said Grant's name. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And his mom is standing right here. And
I was going to say, at this point, you and the ex-wife are standing together.
Well, I'm totally in the, like, whatever. Like, whatever has happened in our divorce the prior 7 years, doesn't matter. Like, we lost our child, our son. I'm here to support you and our daughter in whatever way possible. And
how long did it take for that to turn? Because I don't remember. I feel like it was a few months, but I don't know. Was it not a few months? It was that quick? It was quick?
Pretty quick, unfortunately.
Maybe those days were so crawling for me. So
yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's pretty quick.
When we had coffee.
It became public months later, but it was behind the scenes, not public on social media prior.
What was the first indication you got that this?
So his accident was on a Monday. His visitation was Friday. His funeral was Saturday. And on Tuesday, after his funeral, I had someone call me, and I had someone else to tell me, 2 people reach out that said, in the visitation line on Friday, it was mentioned that it might not be an accident. And I'm just like, you have got to be kidding me. Like,
mentioned by
his mom.
And that's it. No one else. There was just that.
No, that she mentioned it to people in line that were coming through the line, the visitation line, standing 3 feet from me. That's hard to hear. It's hard to hear.
Yeah. And about like the dumbest murder ever it seems like an impossible situation. And by the way, I'm going back a little bit. I assume the car fell out of gear or something, or maybe didn't put it in gear.
We don't know exactly. There's either a couple scenarios. It either popped out of park. The other thing, which we think may have happened, a friend of mine went back, because the truck was drivable, although it ended up being totaled because the frame was bent from it hitting. That's the other thing. It was totaled. The frame was bent because it rolled back down into this ditch. In the back end, it hit, and it's that big, hard gravel rock stuff. Because originally I was going to get the truck fixed and keep it, and then I think God had another plan. Was like, no, you don't need to keep this thing. And the frame, we found once they tore it apart and got into it to fix it, the frame was bent, and they totaled it anyway. But we drove it back up there to try to get it to pop out of park. We're jumping in the back of it, like we're trying everything. And then later on, actually, my friend was like, man, it came to me in a dream. They wonder if it was, you know how sometimes you can park but still be in drive, but just sit there when you're on an incline? Because my friend asked me, he said, hey, when you went to get the truck from the police impound lot and recover it, did you have to buy gas? And I was like, yeah, it's actually the first thing I had to do because it was like empty. So we think he may have accidentally still had it in drive. It's sitting there, forgot to put it in park, gets out. Maybe when you're on an incline, the level of the fuel in the tank adjusts. The vehicle thinks it runs out of gas. It stalls. It starts rolling. Because later on, when the eyewitnesses finally came forward later, they said they saw him trying to stop the truck from rolling backwards. And then he slipped and it took him under.
Which that is the first thing, and I did not know that for this moment.
Well, that's what I thought. In my mind, I was like, that's the only way he could get up under it, you know? And he's probably thinking, oh my gosh, Dad's here. It's going to hurt somebody in the road, or it's going to tear up the truck. I can stop because he was 6'3", 210. Unlike me, you know, if I didn't know he was mine, I would have thought he was like the milkman's because he was like 6'3", 210, and I'm not 6'3", and 210. But he walked like me, and our mannerisms and a lot of our stuff. It's amazing to see what is in you that's in your kid, you know, as you know.
Yeah.
But
what was the story for your ex? Like, what was her when she's telling people in the line this might not have been an accident? Did she have a working?
No, I think eventually when it came out to social media that I don't know. There's so much. I mean, I think one of them was that. I think one of them, and I don't know, there might have been more than one, but one that I know I saw and heard was that I hit him over the head with one of his bats, drug him into the ditch, then pulled the truck around and drove it over. Okay. On a busy highway.
Weren't there two
at an
appointment?
Well, that saw the accident. Yeah. Now they came forward later. They came forward later. Their statements were not taken at the time of the accident, but they came forward later.
And true, everyone has to remember that this is just someone starting a website of something that they just for who knows what. I wouldn't even necessarily try to guess whether it's attention or money or whatever someone's after. But this isn't like
they got lots of attention and lots of money, so it could have been. I don't know.
But you weren't interrogated by the police.
No.
Yeah, no one ever thought this wasn't an accident except for her.
Not that I know of. Yeah.
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 You know,
nobody's ever.
You weren't getting investigated by the cops.
No.
No. Which, by the way, that also happens when people are innocent. That happens occasionally, but this isn't one of those. All of this attention is out of someone's brain. And then it starts snowballing.
Yeah. Well, now there were other lies surrounding all the other stuff around it too that were just not true. I don't want to bring up other people's names that there were accusations. I want to have empathy for whatever. Like even, there were horrible accusations against the funeral home that were unfounded. That were total lies, and we have documentation that there were lies. And it's like just. Come on,
I've watched my wife lose her son. I understand as best I can as a man. First of all, I lost my son. It's rough. It's rough in every way. I watched my wife lose the son that she carried. It is very rough. I have empathy for a mom that we had this crazy lawsuit with. It was absolutely this fabrication. This mom just wanting something to blame and attention with Sage and this kid that had killed himself. It's a long road. Moms in that kind of grief can lurch out in crazy ways. I even kind of understand it, but this has been, holy cow. It's not just, well, I don't know. I was pretty bad too. But I'm not sure that Sage's drug use didn't result from this situation that we had, which was an absolutely grief-stricken, crazy mother with absolutely no sort of reality, whatever, that calls her blame. You have no idea what you do, and if you're willing to do it to a kid, of course, someone's ex. Let me ask you this, and some of this I kind of know, some of this I don't know, but there's no history in it quite like this. I know that you've had some, that there were some, trying to think of how to word this without getting everyone in trouble, but like, well, I mean, some strangeness in her behavior before this.
Oh yeah. All through our divorce proceedings. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's pretty public out there that, that during our divorce, I was accused of abusing the kids in multiple ways, was investigated twice during our divorce and found to be innocent of that. Later on, once again, accused again, post-divorce. Once again, that was not found to be true. Once again, a few years later, similar thing, investigated again, nothing founded. No. Yeah. So there's been multiple accusations over since 2013, mind you. There was also a false accusation on social media in 2013, right at the early part of our divorce, that I had kidnapped the kids. And this was on Facebook and needed to raise money quickly because of it.
You kidnapping. You know, I can say this because
I literally at that time had paperwork in my pocket from a judge that showed that I had 100% custody of the kids. Had it in my pocket, literally had it with me everywhere I went, just so I had it everywhere I went.
Just in case. So we're sitting here today and we're going to tell your side of the story. And I'm going to tell, here's why I want to do this, because anyone who knows you that thinks that you would hurt your son, it was starting with that when someone, it's kind of like in politics, when someone just tells blatant lies or misrepresents something so blatantly, it makes you need to immediately question everything else that person said, starting with the idea that you would want to hurt your son. I'd have to be, if I was a discriminating, bystander, observer watching this go down, I'd have to say, if I knew Aaron Solomon, I'd go, well, that's not true. That's the biggest thing that he killed his son. No, never, ever, ever would that guy hurt his son. That's the most obvious thing I could ever see. Turns everything else. It's amazing to me the people that don't investigate that any further.
Oh,
so what was the next step? Okay, you're hearing this in the line.
Well, I heard it a few days later, but then.
Well, I'm sorry, they're hearing it in the line.
But people tell me, hey, that's what's being said in the line by her. But that was, that was July of 2020. But then in the spring of 2021 is when the social media campaign launched. And
she started a Facebook page or something.
Yeah, Instagram, Facebook. Maybe Twitter, I don't know, maybe TikTok. I mean, you name it.
Were all the claims released at once, or did she just start, were these?
I don't know. I mean, it's just a lot of stuff going out there. I mean, multiple. I mean, every day something was, did this to his son, did this to his daughter, blah, 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 blah. Kept on. So, that started in early 2021 and was active for several years, just kind of got quiet finally late 2024. So like 3 years of it on social media. So there's many days where, I had people going, why do you still live here? And trust me, there have been times where I'm like, how about I just sell what I have and go move to Costa Rica. That's my line. It's just, pick a remote spot.
My thing is always rent paddle boards in Key West and start smoking weed again or
whatever,
something. Whatever that is.
But the whole thing is with that, because there have been times where I've wanted to. I want to escape. Because I've had what really stinks is people that believe that stuff, that like one day I'm walking in to get my hair cut. Somebody I don't know takes a picture from their car window of me walking in to get my hair cut and send it to that social media thing, and they post it and go, he's out on the loose in Williamson County. Or I'm at a baseball game at a college baseball game, and somebody takes my picture and says, "Oh, look, he's at a baseball game." Okay. Or I'm at my gym that I've been a member at for a few years, working out, and a guy gets in my face loudly and starts yelling at me, "You killed your son," like yelling in the gym, in the middle of a busy gym. "You killed this guy I don't know," just out of the blue, looking like he's not mentally put together, yelling at me that I killed my son. He killed his son, like yelling it in the gym. And I'm like, no, I didn't. If I did, I'd be in jail. If I killed my son, I'd be in jail. Yeah, it would have been probably the easiest investigation ever if you had. And I'm like, you don't know all the facts. That was just last year in 2024 in the middle of my gym. And I'm walking and he's yelling at me, and I'm walking to the manager going, "Hey man, if because if somebody hits me overhead with a barbell in here one day, it may be this dude." Yeah. Well, then the next day he apologizes. Like, he finds me on social media, messaged me and says, "Man, I apologize. You're right. I don't know everything. I was so just from what he heard on some Instagram blanket account, he just decided I've had hundreds of messages, and I'm private on Facebook and Instagram, but I still have hundreds of messages on Instagram and LinkedIn and Facebook of people telling me they hope I die and you rot in hell and you should be in prison and you're rapist, murderer, and the people I don't know. They're from around the country, they're around the world, and they get messages from people that don't even know me, and they've seen it, and they're like, "You're horrible," and you're like, "Dude, you live in Anchorage, and you don't know me." Like, I guess I have a hard time understanding, but our society's been that way. I think social media can be good for some reason, for some things, but it's caused so much. It's easy for people to say something. And that's what was so alarming, for somebody to say something to me in person at the gym, because it's easy for somebody to hide behind the keyboard warrior, and lash out by not knowing you. But it's another thing to come up and say something to somebody's face. Yeah. But when I'm like, almost kudos to him. But it's hard to be, I grew up here. I worked here forever. I've been, I've tried to be a decent part of the community for a long time. And it's hard to be where this has been your home and where you grew up, and have people think some of these things. And, I saw him at this restaurant out, and I was going to go say something to him, but, and kick his ass. And I'm like, I guess I have a hard time understanding. I've never felt the urge to reach out and message someone I don't know at all and give them my stern opinion of their situation. Like, I don't. Yeah, your story went viral, so everybody started thinking they had a responsibility. Let's talk about your daughter. So she starts with you killed your son, which to me immediately I go, well, that's obviously so unbelievably untrue. Whatever follows this is going to be BS. So when I saw the video that your daughter made, I was like, that looks like someone coaxed. That looks like I feel so sorry for whatever she heard to get her to go there and say that. But what's the order of that? I have been estranged from my daughter, but not only me. My daughter has been estranged from every family member on both sides. Nobody at the time that we are recording this, nobody has had contact with my daughter on either side of the family, no family member, for 4.5 years. Like your ex-wife's parents? No. Why is that? Her choice? Her mother has made it that way. Her mother has made it that way. Now, by this point, it's her choice, but I don't think she knows what she doesn't know. unfortunately.
Well, that's one of the reasons.
And she's 18 now. She's 18 now, and so she can decide what she wants to do or not to do. It's not normal for a father to have 100% custody or 85% custody for years. It's not normal for in divorce situations that all sides of the family don't have contact with.
Why did you have full custody?
Just because of what judges felt was the right thing, especially at that time. And then it was agreed upon in the divorce for the 85% custody, which is not always the case for a male.
No. How to be?
I mean, usually it's 50-50 at best, and usually it's the mom gets more. But the courts felt like it was more important that they have more time with me for their well-being.
To get your daughter to say that you were molested.
It wasn't overnight. It took a minute. It took a couple of years.
That wasn't like so.
Took a couple of years.
The fact that this was like young mind program, then it's wild that you got to lose. Yeah, you had to lose one child.
Oh, I feel like I've lost completely, both my children,
and then you lose another child that's still here, and I'm not sure which one of them is probably harder for you.
Yeah, no, it's excruciating, especially when I was a part of their lives every day for so long, or all the time for so long, and how much they mean to me, and it's hard to feel like you've lost both kids, even though one is right under your nose, and you don't know how they're doing. You don't know, where they go to school. You can see their grades until they turn 18. You can do parent-teacher conferences with their teachers until they turn 18. And you enjoy I just would enjoy doing a Zoom call with their teachers, hearing about what kind of student they are. Or maybe a friend of a friend who can send me a post of something of, oh, she did this in an extracurricular activity. And I get to see a picture of her. That's what she's doing. Okay, here's her boyfriend. I see a picture, but I don't know anything. And so it's hard to, it's like, when our kids pass away, it's like our last physical memories of them were of that age. But then we see their friends grow up, and we miss, like he would be at this moment a senior in college. And so he's got scores of friends on college baseball teams, and I try to go to a lot of their games, but they're playing, or maybe one is getting married, or maybe, and I see them and they're like, oh, I'm majoring in this and I want to do this. And then I've got one that's here, and it's almost like both of my kids in my mind is still from a few years ago. Even torturous. Though one is still here. And so it's excruciating. It's I don't know.
So this Facebook account, this Instagram account, whatever it is, winds up, it goes from you killed our son.
And abused.
And abused them growing up.
And abused both of them.
After you having full or most custody for just a long time.
Yeah.
For whatever reasons that may be there. But yeah, it's a little odd for a dad to get full custody. That's not something that's common. And then the fact, by the way, the wildest caper murder of a father that loves his son in a parking lot that I could ever possibly imagine would be the most amazing and dumbest murder in the history of the world.
Right.
And luckiest, because if there were a busy street and no one saw you banging your kid over the head in a parking lot and rolling a car over him.
Oh, and we're supposed to be inside in 5 minutes. Anyway.
Yeah. And it's truly someone working there. I mean, that's amazing. If you are either the greatest criminal of all time, or you're being completely drugged through the mud by your toenails. I happen to feel like you're being drugged through the mud by your toenails. Because I'm watching this and I have common sense and I have investigated a little bit. And also, I know you and there's some things that just aren't up for debate. The dragging of your daughter into it that wasn't right away, was it?
It was pretty quick.
It was pretty quick. Okay. Cause I didn't know all of it. And then it was when it come, a couple of people came to me, but my son's like, hey, aren't you friends with Aaron Solomon? Yeah. He's like, oh, this is all. And I'm like, I said, well, you need to check out this story a little bit. Do a little bit of investigating. I told him, your part of the story and what might be going on. And he's like, oh, and I just thought, if anything, by the way, these private school kids, wonderful kids who I love very much, so they just want something to talk about. People want a cause to belong to.
Oh yeah.
They just they want to pick it. I don't think half the people out there with signs know what Hamas is. You know what I mean? We just are stupid. Like I love kids. I was a kid. I still act like one, but kids are stupid. Let's not forget that. So we've amassed this energy into this thing that's going to let's crucify Aaron. And I can see your ex's grief. This is a way for me this is what to do with it. If you're not a healthy person, you're not a healthy person, grief's a rough one. It's a tough one. And I mean, I don't claim to be the most healthy human being on earth, but I work on it really hard. Man, you will channel this in the wrong direction and it can go awry. I very much planned on it going awry if it had ever happened before. If you'd asked me what's going to come of you if you lose one of your kids, I'm like, well, it's not going to be pretty. Right. This is going to be rough.
Oh, yeah.
So I've worked it really hard. So you take this situation and you take somebody that may or may not be healthy. I don't know them, but it doesn't seem like a very healthy situation to me. And they start adding things to it. And all of a sudden your daughter's saying that these crazy things. And by the way, maybe believing, I mean, who knows what a parent can do to a kid that young.
Yeah. It actually happens quite a bit more.
13 years old, 12.
It happens. Yeah. Parental alienation happens more than we realize, unless you've been associated with it. It happens quite a bit, where one parent turns the child against another, and it happens a lot. And it's weaponizing your children is not, it's tough. Like I don't, and it's so I've never, I didn't come on here to talk to you to, feel like a victim or blah, 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 because in my heart, my heart hurts for what my daughter has gone through. And that's the other thing. And I even told my ex-wife the week of my son's accident, and even the week after when it started to get weird, I was like, we need to be together through this grief. Like we can help each other get through this grief together. It's better together than trying to separate and build walls. And so
let me ask you something. I have a question.
But it's also made it harder for not just me and my daughter and my ex-wife to grieve, because no family is around to help grieve. It's also made it hard for our entire family on all sides to grieve, because we're also grieving my daughter too. All of us, everybody, even their side, even my ex-wife's side. We're all we're grieving all of it. We can't grieve properly. We can't honor Grant publicly. That doesn't happen, and we all would like to.
Yeah, I know for a fact. I know that you would rather your daughter be okay, even if she has to hate you to be okay.
Yes,
I know that, and we'll get to more of that. We'll talk about it. But do you think I don't believe it. By the way, we wouldn't be sitting here. I'm your friend and whatever. But do you think that your ex, at some point, that she believes this is true and that maybe she's lost it in some areas? Do you think she believes any of this, or is it literally just a Dr. Evil plan to, I'm going to destroy this human being because it makes me feel good? By the way, it does make you feel good a little bit to destroy when you're really upset with the world. Do you think she believes it herself?
And that's the thing is, like, my son's accident itself, it's such a freakish accident. You want to be able to put blame on something. Like, I want to blame
Toyota,
the vehicle, the Toyota. You want to blame, it's just a freak accident, and it was God's time. Like, I can't, that's the only thing it can be, because it wasn't anything other than just the most freaking accident and that happens sometimes with this. It's just like, how did that happen? It's hard to explain. But it's funny that you say that, because I think that's a tough question. I do believe there's a part of my ex-wife that knows I would never hurt either one of them. And then at the same time, I think there's a part of my ex-wife that believes some of the lies that she has created in her mind. I think both are true. Like, the morning of his accident, she texted me to make sure that I could go because she couldn't.
You wouldn't do that with a killer.
Exactly.
Here's another thing. You can talk yourself. I'm gonna tell you a little story that proves this. That you can talk. We can talk ourselves.
Oh, and I still have that text, by the way.
Yeah.
So
Of course you say. But we can talk ourselves into believing things.
Yes.
That are absolutely not true.
Yes.
Here's an example. For many years, for 30 years, I told everyone that the first person I ever voted for was Ronald Reagan. That was my first vote. I voted for Ronald Reagan as my first vote. I believed it. I remembered the day. I remember the sticker, putting the little sticker on I voted, and I voted for Ronald Reagan when I was my first. Well, it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
Because I was 18. Right. I turned 18 in the middle of his second term. Right. I never got to vote for him.
I knew that. I was like, wait, you weren't old enough to vote yet.
I wasn't. had never done the math.
Maybe you wanted to.
Yeah. I don't know where the thought came from. I didn't plan on lying about that.
Right.
I don't get any money for voting for Ronald Reagan.
Right.
I don't, we all talk about him great now, but at the time, half the country hated him, half the country loved him. It's like it always goes. And I wouldn't go around saying the story, but if someone said, who's the first president you ever voted for? I said, Ronald Reagan. I kind of liked that story. And, it just wasn't true. It couldn't have been.
But that was probably about the age where you started paying attention to politics and looking at stuff.
I guess maybe I would have voted for him. I guess maybe my dad voted for him or something and had been a Democrat before. And there's some sort of shift in there. I had no intention of lying about that, but I did lie about that for years when someone would bring it up without my knowledge. And then I had to stop and go, wait, that just absolutely doesn't work because I wasn't old enough to vote then. That can happen. It can happen with your daughter, but I was even thinking it can happen with your ex-wife. I'm not here to make any.
That whole week I was at her place every day, all day, every day. We went shopping at the mall. I took she and my daughter shopping for clothes for the visitation and the funeral. We bought together Grant's outfit that he wore in the casket. We all went and did that together.
What was it that made her? Did she just? Okay, so
I have no idea what made
never an explanation that this fact made me think that this was murder.
No,
not
that I know of. But she and
I
were talking about it.
This was suspect where the tire prints were not nothing like that.
No,
she didn't find something out. She just I have a hunch.
No,
I'm gonna. Yeah. Man, women are so much meaner than men. They really are. It's so much more maniacal. We're just pretty much blatant, what we are, bulls in china shops everywhere. But man, that's evil. That's
There have been many times where I have just I just want to pack up and get out of here and disappear, and get away from all this and just disappear, and just I don't even know what I do. Doesn't matter, but. I don't think that's the right thing to do. And at the same time, I think it would make me look, he looks guilty. He ran away. Yeah. He's guilty, right?
Which, by the way,
I'm going to just stand here and take it. And the people who know me, and the people who don't. And one thing that helped me a long time ago, right when the divorce stuff happened and accusations were already flying and my kids were going to counseling, the counselor said, and my kids were, Grant and Gracie were 10 and 6. And the counselor said, Aaron, you cannot control what anybody else says or does. All you can do is love your kids unconditionally, be there for them, be consistent for them, and be you. And you can't control what anybody else says or does. But we all get concerned with what other people think and say and do about you and all that. But I can't control it. It's not fun. It's not fun at all.
I know you're partially there, but I just care less and less every day. Oh. The herd, people that love me, I care what they think.
Yes.
The people that I love, that I care about, I care what they think. But the herd, I don't have time for the herd. No. I'm not trying to impress people that I don't know or care about. And it's
and what I want, and I want this to be included because I know you can't include the whole thing. But one of the reasons I want to do this is I want Gracie, my daughter, to know that no matter what has happened, period, I love her. I will always love her. I'm here for her. Her family loves her that hasn't talked to her in years. We're all there for her if and when that ever is. We're here. And we're not mad at you. We love you. I will always be here.
I was just going to ask you, what would you say to Gracie if you could talk to her right now? And I guess that's it.
I just want her to be okay.
Yeah. And I know you want her to be okay.
I want her to be happy and healthy and okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I would you know, I said at Grant's funeral, I would trade places. I would have traded places with. I wish I could have traded places with him.
Yeah.
But I will say, you know, I said my dad's got stage 4 cancer, and I talked about it in this room with our dad's group last week. I talked about it with my parents and my sister, that we all know that we are handling my dad's cancer and whatever outcome, whenever that is. Me and my mom and my dad and my sister are handling his cancer from a position of strength that we would not have had prior to Grant's accident. I know that. I feel it. My dad knows that he feels it. My mom knows that she feels it. My sister knows that she feels it. And my sister even said my nieces, her daughters, feel that too. Like they're stronger, you know? And the other thing I did want to talk about before I forget, and I don't want to forget it because I've almost forgotten it. And it goes back to the very beginning because you asked me what happened that day. So I still get emotional explaining what happened that day of the accident. But I can talk about it because I've talked about it a lot. But I've also undergone EMDR counseling therapy with it. And I've talked about it in our dad's group, although I haven't talked about it in a long time. But because I was there, it's weird. Because I was at my son's accident, the moment it happened, I'm like, I'm going to have nightmares the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I've not had one nightmare.
Wow.
And that could be God or Grant or both. I've had 3 dreams about my son only in 5 years. And every one has been amazingly awesome. Awesome. Good. No nightmares. So I'm thankful for that. And knock on wood, I hope I don't have any.
Like know where he is awesome, or just like he was part of your day and you forgot that he died? Or
no, it was like he came back.
Like he's in heaven.
One of the first one, I won't get into all the details. It made sense. It made zero sense. I was with our mutual friend who I haven't seen in a while. We're out in the country riding 4-wheelers, which we've never done. And it's at night. And all of a sudden, Grant appears in the sky and starts talking to us. And it was just like, oh, this is amazing. This is awesome. Like it was the best dream ever. And I woke up. Then another one, I was at a baseball game and he just showed up like ready to play, dressed out and ready to play. And it was like real. It felt so real. Like he's right there. It was just like nothing had ever happened. Like my bad part was the dream. And the dream was like, oh, we just paused it and he just came back. And it was just like, oh my gosh. And the other one was like that too. He just appeared in everyday reality life. And it was just like the most overwhelmingly awesome thing.
Like this is all a dream. That'd be great, wouldn't it be?
Yeah, like all this negative crap is the dream, and the dream is the reality.
It's a long dream.
Yes, yeah, it's a long and torturous dream. But the EMDR, eye movement desensitization reprogramming, discovered a long time ago, and there's different ways to do it. And it doesn't make you forget about an event, but it's for trauma stuff, traumatic experiences. And I wasn't sure, like I do believe in counseling, but I'm like, I don't know if this works or not. And it began with eye movement is how they discovered it, but you can do it with like holding 2 things that vibrate alternating. It could be tapping alternating, or you can see the eye movement going back and forth, or you can hear a tone. So the way I did it when I first did it was on Zoom with the counselor. I put in headphones and it's an alternating tone to your ears. And that activates both sides of your brain. Well, she sent the tone to my ears while I'm focused on a particular image that I have a very highly emotional relationship with that image. And you do that, and it activates both sides of your brain because our brains are amazing. We've stashed stuff away that we don't want to access. Well, that makes you access it. So I was like, I'll try it because I'll try anything, because I think I need it for being at the scene of the accident, which at the time I was like, there's a blessing in being there and there's a curse in being there. There's a blessing because I was there, so he was not alone, but it's also, we all want to protect our kids, and the most helpless feeling is not being able to help your kid, as you guys know. Anybody who's lost a kid, or like the one in the ER who lost his daughter, like Sydney. Like to be there and not be able to help. Because even people are like, oh, why didn't you try to go get him out from under the truck? Because I would make things worse. That's what, no, I know. I know
didn't want to go
enough.
in there and kill him
Right.
by trying to get it out. Yeah,
Right. No, we need
totally
pros here ASAP. So there's a blessing in being there in that you were with, I'm glad I was with him, but at the same time, the curse of having that whole experience is not good. Like, I'm there. But the EMDR activates both sides of your brain. So we got to the point, we went through the accident day. And when we got to the session where I knew we were going to work on the image of me seeing him trapped underneath the truck, I was like, this is not going to be easy. And oh my goodness, it was beyond not easy. It literally, I would close my eyes, the tone's going in. That's why I liked the tone into the ears thing, is because I could close my eyes and look at the image. And it literally took me back to the day that, because it activated both sides of my brain, it took me back to the moment where thankfully I was sitting, but my knees got weak. I felt like I might pass out. My breathing changed. And that entire hour session, we worked on that one image with the tone, and the emotional level was at a 10 and it never went away. And she said, don't worry, that's expected. We came back the next week, and there's more to the story because there's a connection to something we've read and know. We came back the next week, we began back on that same image, and it was down to a 5 because the EMDR session, your brain can still process the session even after the session's over. It processes it for another day or two, and you don't even know it. We come back to the next session, the very next week. I was doing it every week for quite a while. The next week, it was at a 5. The next week, it dropped to a 1. The final week, when it dropped to a 1, in my own mind, I had not heard this at church. I had not heard this from a preacher. I had not read it in a book. I had not read it in the Bible. In that last session, I'm doing the EMDR, and all of a sudden, the image of him being trapped by the truck, the image changed to Jesus. The truck was Jesus holding Grant tightly, taking him to heaven.
Wow.
That came to my head.
Through the EMDR.
Through the EMDR. I hadn't read that anywhere. Hadn't heard of that. There was no sermon about it. Hadn't seen it on YouTube. So check this out. After that session, I'm like that. Then all of a sudden I felt like he didn't suffer any pain. I felt like he was okay. Like that helped. That session helped. And that was a few months after. Then Mary C. Neal, her books are amazing. So I had read her book, but I had not read after the end of the book. Well, at the end of the book, there's people that throw in some questions that are like, hey, one of the questions was like, well, where was God and Jesus in your book? And it's a story about how she died. You know the book, as we talked about it. But Mary Neal, a doctor, died, went to heaven, came back, and she wrote about it. She speaks about it. She talks about the
best
moment.
book ever.
Well, I didn't know. So in the answer at the back end of the book, where she said, because somebody's like, hey, where was the Jesus part in this thing? She said, at the moment I died, it was like Jesus holding me tightly and taking me to heaven. And I read that after that came to my head. So I'm like, all right, that's her confirming what appeared in my head. That's what she felt herself. And I'm like, whoa, that's
that
not
book, 7 Lessons from Heaven,
Yeah.
by Mary C. Neal. I actually brought it to the group because my friend Lance Summerall just sent it to me. And
that was helpful.
My God.
Because she explained she didn't feel the pain of her back breaking and the drowning. And so, because as a parent, you don't want if Sage was suffering when he was dying, or Grant, he gets run over by a truck, you don't want them to suffer.
It's so important to us at the time. That has dissipated a little bit for me. Now I'm so, our friend John Huey in our group always says, I want to have a good answer for what did you do with the rest of your life journey, Yeah. And that's a little bit more of, if I care about things right now, it's usually based on that. Now you get wrapped back into the world a little bit. Yeah. You get wrapped back into making money, and you get wrapped back into, whatever it is, retirement, your job, career, how you want things, whatever it might be. But for the most part, the closer I can stay to the guy I was the week that he died is who I want to be in life.
Well, that's what
maybe the month.
That's what this reminder is too, is to stay humble and put others above you. And that's what I try to do. And that has helped me. I don't even like to use the word client in what I do. I don't even think of the people that I work with as clients, that are people that I help. But I handle them with a total different, and even people, like that dude that verbally accosted me in the gym that day. I look at him like, what's going on in his life where he feels the need to lash out at me, somebody he doesn't know.
Yeah.
And then the next day he apologizes and was like, man, I was having a bad day. I don't know everything. Well, yeah, I mean, because we don't know what somebody else is going through. And we've talked about it in this group. I'm such a talker. I tell my story to people, and then that makes them feel like they can open up and talk about the hardest things that they're dealing with. And that's one of the gifts that we've gotten from this is, obviously you and I are similar in the fact that we want to try to reach out and help others who are going through this. Like prior to my son dying, I was not a funeral person.
Now you're the funeral whisperer.
I'm kind of like, Vince Gill, instead of the wedding singer, he's the funeral singer. And I just go. And the reason is
there's people in our group that you just went to their kid's funeral because
and that's why they're in the group, because I'm like, you got to come to this group.
Yeah.
Because I know how they feel. And not everybody knows. Everybody thinks they know, but unless you've lost a child, you don't know. And I want to be there for something because you helped me. Casey Bethard helped me. It's a paying it forward thing. And the outpouring of support and the people that showed up at my son's visitation and funeral blew my mind and made me feel and it was a blur because it's a few days after.
Yeah.
But you're like, oh my gosh, I remember seeing one of my friends and he was like, oh yeah, I was there. And I'm like, I didn't even see you. Thank you. But I want to repay for the people that came to my son's funeral because it helped. It helped seeing everybody. It didn't matter who it was that came through the line or came to the service or spoke or didn't speak to show support. Now I know what that means. So I go, even if I'm going all that. My friends and family are like, dude, you're going to another funeral? I'm like, yeah. Yeah, because it's somebody I went to high school with and they matter.
Yeah.
Or, it matters for people to show up, and it makes a difference to that family and those people. And it does. And so I want to give that back for people that did that to me.
That experience of losing my son it changed my view of what people are.
Yeah.
It really did. Because I'm not, I have a friend that wrote this song for Luke Bryan. He called it, I believe most people are good. And I was like, I believe most people are bad. I'm Baptist. You know what I mean? Everyone's going to hell. That month, that 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or 4 weeks right after it was unbelievable to me. The people that were on the edges of my life in some ways that rushed to the middle.
Yes.
And there's just a couple disappointments, just a couple, right, but there's always, yours are pretty big. A little bit more than a couple, but a couple disappointments in people. But for the most part, people were so much more than I thought they were. And there was so many more of them. And I was so grateful to them. And I was like, I felt like, I'll be honest, this is crazy. I felt like I got to attend my own funeral a little bit by watching the people that, by the way, if you love my son, you love me. Yeah. Period. I would rather you love him than love me. Yeah. I would, just like with Gracie. And the people that showed up to be there for, and some of them that didn't know him, that just showed up for me.
Oh yeah.
In those ways. And then the ones that did know him, all of it combined. It changed my view of people. It did. I was like, wow, this is God in his most pure form ever. And it was in the form of other human beings.
Yes.
So there's a show called Alone that's on the History Channel or something. They just stick you out on like the Vancouver Islands, and they take 10 contestants and they have a bag with 10 things in it. And they put them out in some deserted space, and the last person to call the emergency phone and tap out wins $500,000, right? So they're out there with bears, starving to death. Months these people last out there. 9 times out of 10, the call in to punch me out, take me out of here and lose my. By the way, it's a lot of money to the people that are in this contest. They need it. They're usually survivalist people that don't have real jobs and they need that money. They tap out 9 times out of 10 because of loneliness. Because the show's called Alone. They sit there and it really dawned on me because we watched a few seasons of it. It's great. It's a great show, but not starvation. which they're all starving to death.
Right.
Not the lions and bears or whatever might be in the woods. No, not that. Not the cold, frigid cold, freaking out or not being able to get fired. The reason they tap out is because they're lonely, miss their family, they miss their people. That tells us how much. Look at what COVID did. It's wild to me what this experience that we've been able to experience has done for my perception of people and what they mean. And just our group that sits in this room and does what we've done. I mean, the guys that aren't in AA are like you and some of the other ones. There's a few of us in recovery. But I'm like, that's the beauty of recovery. Other people with a common enemy, a common challenge.
Oh, and we need it.
We do need it.
We need it. Like we need this. When we talk about it, we're like, hey, it's been 2 months since we were here because we didn't meet last month. Oh man, it was time. We were overdue. Like
we need it as human beings too.
Even if you just sit here and listen, you feel the commonality, you feel the love, you feel the hurt, all the different stages. Because the guys in the room, it's different stages. It could be, we've had people that came in after a month, and you're like, oh my gosh. And we've had people that it's been 15 years and everything in between, and it's like. And there's different stages and different waves and different scenarios and, but we all get something from it, and it's helpful and powerful. And
that one thing is the most obvious thing in all of this to me is that find someone that you share that whatever ailment you have, find those people, find your tribe and start dancing around the fire.
Yeah.
That is the key to getting through. I mean, God has to be involved in it, but someone coming and sharing with you a random scripture verse that's never lost anything and telling you they know how you feel because their dog died last month is not very helpful. We know that now. Yeah. Talking about our children is helpful. We love that.
Big time.
Finding other people that this has happened to. And you know what? The truth is I have a little bit of trouble relating to someone that hasn't had their puppies run over these days. I mean, that's metaphorically, of course.
Right.
But just as you go on in life, and by the way, everyone has an interesting story. No one's story is easy, but the pain that we're all experiencing, it's coming to everyone at some point. The fact that we can share that thing, it dissipates it. Your story is so unique in the fact that you have the worst thing that can ever happen to you, and then like there's a challenge of there might be something worse than this, and that goes on simultaneously. How have you gotten? I think you're on the other side of some of this. How have you gotten through it? And I know every day is one day at a time.
The closeness of the people that matter, that are close, family, friends, the dad's group, some of the people that clients, but are friends, and some other close friends, and turning my attention to trying to help others. That has helped.
You do that. You go to ball games, you go to funerals, you like a random funeral show up to consult.
To people I don't know.
And there's
and it feels kind of weird until I say, hey, I know exactly how you feel. And they go, thank you for coming. Even if they haven't been here. There's been a few that haven't even come here yet, but we've talked one off, or maybe when their time is right, they will come. But even them, you just showing up and they don't even know. I'm like, you don't know me, but I lost a son or I lost a child, and I know what you're going through, and I'm here if you need to talk. They go, thank you. Like, you get it.
There's a guy that comes to our group sometimes, and his wife, we never met them, and she showed up they lost a kid right before us, and she showed up like that. And that brought me to tears every time I would even think about it for a year. Just like, you just came. Because what could be more miserable than a funeral for someone in that position? The fact they do it, you have showed up. It was like
I mean, it was 2 months after Sage, and you were there willing to talk. And that 4 hours in the coffee shop was just like,
I was needing to talk. Yeah.
And everything we said was like, oh man, and this and that. And it was just,
oh, you too.
We blink and it's 4 hours, and it's like, oh man, I needed that, and it was heavy, and I may need to go take a nap, but it was good.
Yeah, I don't know if we accomplished anything else the rest of the day.
Right.
You having shown up for people is a great thing. Having got through what you've gotten through, and
I also will say, and it may be stupidity on my part. There's a part of me that I guess is more hopeful and prayerful that at some point my daughter will want a relationship with me or need me for something, and I want to. I want to be here for her and strong for her if I can be.
With the door open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The door's always open.
Yeah. And
I may be stupid for even hoping that.
Nope, you're not stupid. And you know what? It's a little bit like the Solomon story to me, because the parent, when he was going to chop the baby in half, everyone knows that story. You're going to cut the baby in half, and one of the moms says, okay, that's cool. I'll take my half of the baby. And then the other mom says, no, give her the baby. And then Solomon knew that was the baby. Your willingness to sacrifice your happiness for your daughters pretty much says it all to me. It's not, it's that you don't make that part about you. You've always made that about her. And that's probably the best you're going to do right now. I mean, I got high hopes for the future, but in the back of my mind, I think, yeah, I'd love to see this. Boy, what an amazing reconciliation. But you care more about her than you do yourself right now. And that's
for sure.
And
in the meantime, on a daily basis, I'm just trying to be here and help somebody each day if I can, and just be present.
All right. So I first of all, I have a quote for everyone that comes on here, and I usually read it at the beginning, but I forgot because we got into it quick. But your quote was, sorry, I'm going to put my readers on. I was trying.
Isn't it lovely being our age?
Squinting, man. The squinting was not doing it.
Yeah.
Your quote was, life doesn't get easier or more forgiving. We get stronger and more resilient. I think we talk about that a lot.
You nailed that on the head.
Yeah.
Like every once in a while, I'm like, you can stop anytime now.
We're pretty good here.
I'm not sure what the end game is here, but you're trying, the whole thing of God only puts on you what you can handle. I'm like, I'm not sure that can be tested anymore.
Mother Teresa always used to
I'm not
say
sure if
that.
that's true or not.
Yeah, Mother Teresa would say that and say, I wish God didn't trust me so much.
Yeah, he's got way too much trust. Yeah.
Which I think there is, I'm reading a book called Highly Favored right now. There's a friend of mine sent me, it's just a pastor's wife that they lost a son. It's pretty cool. She kind of goes through the Bible characters that were mentioned as highly favored. Ruth and Esther and King David and Mary. And the cartoon books when you're a kid, they look really good and easy. And the people that were highly favored went through hell. It was horrible. They had terrible situations. And they were highly favored because God trusted them, not necessarily because everything was going to be, you're favored. So that spoiled is different than favored. And they were not spoiled. They were favored.
No. Yeah.
So I asked everyone the question.
Well, and before that, let me just do one compliment, and as something I don't think I've told you, but I don't think I've told it to you this way. So, if you're reading this, your song that Tim McGraw did is absolutely one of my favorite songs of all time.
Thank you. It's interesting.
Because it's like a connection with me and my dad.
Yeah.
And he wrote those letters to Mom.
Wow. He did.
Yeah, those kind of letters, because he didn't know if he was going to come back. Somewhere.
Wow.
Now the only difference in your song is that I was born already, so he got to see me for about 3 months before he left.
But talk to you.
Barry, no.
Yeah.
But not, But hey, this letter I may not make it home. So if you're reading this, and the whole thing of lay me down in a field outside the edge of town, exactly. Wow. He's buried in a field out on the edge of town. Well, it's a beautiful little cemetery surrounded by cornfields in Illinois, and it's like almost like a little oasis out and it's just outside of town. So and it is a field on the edge of town.
You told me
even
that
line,
song
and I'm
before
like,
I knew
it's
the whole
like
story.
Yeah, and it's like you wrote this song and it hits like. But that's not something personally that happened to you, but it hits it. Like the words in that song hit the nail on the head, that's amazing. So have you, I haven't even asked you this. Have you written a song about losing a child connection?
No,
but I know losing a child has influenced your writing since.
Totally.
But you haven't written a specific song-ish.
I have. I've written.
Okay.
I've written a song that I haven't shared with anyone. So I don't.
Oh.
Not even my publisher. I just like.
Oh.
It was just like
Okay.
personal, and it's so weird because it's like I don't know. It's certainly shown up in lines in songs,
Right.
that I'll put them in there because I co-write with my brother almost all the time.
Right.
And I have written a song for him that I just kind of I'm like, I'm just not ready to show that to anyone. And then also I'm not a big sensationalizer. Like I love my wife more than anything in the world, but I wrote her one song before we got married, and that's just not a guy that I wrote this. I've written songs for her, but she shows up in my songs a lot. They're not, I'm probably not going to write. I can only imagine, you know what I mean? There's a little more of a, fictional element to that. So it shows up in my writing more than I'm just like, this is the song. Every time I've started to do it, kind of felt contrived. And I haven't done it. So it's a strange thing. It's like art and commerce and how do you feel?
But I think it's interesting that you and Brett could write a song so nailing it on the head, like
Before
if you're
knowing.
reading this, but not even having an experience like that is pretty special talent. Actually.
We're fiction writers.
Well, you hit it
but
on-
this
you
is
hit it
little
on the head.
experiences. Well, thank
But
you.
I can't
appreciate
tell you
that.
how many
Appreciate
times
it.
I've cried listening to that song.
Wow.
Like it's,
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So what's
thank
the
you for
worst
that
thing
song.
that's ever happened to you? And what's the best thing that came out of that? And I know we just spent a couple hours talking about it, but there's specifically what's the worst thing that happened to you and what's the best thing that came out of that?
No, the worst thing is losing my son Grant. Like it's not even
close.
Not even close. And I would, if I could spin the world backwards like Superman used to do and turn back time and make it change, I would. And the best thing that has come out of that is I guess it's me wanting to be more like him and try to serve others.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's it.
Wow. We learn a lot from these kids, don't we?
Yeah.
It never stops.
Yeah. No, I learned way more from him than he ever learned from me.
I always say Sage was my greatest teacher in life and in death. He was my greatest teacher here. Not that he sat me down and taught me, but I learned from him. And
And a lot of people saw my post about my son about baseball or basketball and sports and stuff like that. But man, he was so much more than that. Obviously, the stories that came out and kids that spoke, we streamed his funeral was live and it was streamed and his friends and teammates and spoke and just golly, those kids are amazing too. And the things they said about him was amazing. But even like, I'm so thankful that, even though COVID was jacked up, one thing about COVID that I didn't get to mention is that it caused, and I think it was a God thing because we even talked about it as a family. It caused some closeness to happen that hadn't happened in a while. COVID did. So even his aunt, his mom's sister and husband and their son spent a month here getting out of New York City and spending a month here in June. They were here for Grant's birthday, got to see him play baseball. There was a lot of family gatherings. Like for his 18th birthday, for instance, we were at a tournament down at Lake Point in Georgia. And we're walking in, and I happened to be walking in at the same time as his mom and Grant and Gracie. And his mom comes up to me and says, I think it would be a good idea if we all had dinner for his 18th birthday as a family. And I was like, that'd be great. That had not happened in years. And my parents happened to be at that tournament. They came. My sister had never been to a tournament. She was there with her daughters. Nobody had seen. And we all went. I made reservations in a nice place. I was excited. I was like, dude, we're all going to eat together. And we did, and had an awesome, cool family picture made. we all got to spend time together. They got to see him pitch one of his best games ever against a great team. Pitched his ass off. My sister was like, "Oh my God, this is so stressful to watch a pitcher pitch in a big game." I'm like, "Yeah." And everything was like there, and there was a lot of togetherness that hadn't happened. And the COVID kind of caused that. But then it was also some of the surrounding stuff. We thought he had COVID, and that's why he wasn't with his team at the tournament. So, but like God brought us kind of together right before the accident happened. So there was some togetherness right before the accident that hadn't happened in a long time. And that was an interesting God thing that kind of happened. And the other thing was that it allowed me and him, like I said, we spent 5 days a week easy at a baseball field from March of 2020 until his accident.
Wow.
Throwing conversations. Literally the coolest conversation I ever had with him was 2 days before his accident on Saturday at the field in Leapers Fork. And it was just like, dude, it was so cool to see. He had just turned 18. He was going to be a senior in high school. And just the things that he was talking about on a big, like, beyond just baseball, but like life. And, you know, Dad, I went to that camp way back when I was 12 and I did that invention thing. And at the time I was like, dude, this could be a thing. He's like, do you really think that could be an actual invention? And I'm like, yes. And I could connect you with the people that we could make that happen, dude. And he's like, really? And I'm like, yes. And it was just deep. It was more like a 35-year-old conversation, not an 18-year-old conversation. This is our last deep conversation that we had. And I also loved that every time I saw him that summer and even on that Saturday before his accident, he always would give me a hug and tell me bye. Love you. Mm-hmm. And I give him a hug and say, love you. So the good thing is he knows I loved him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know he loved me.
Yeah.
And that's hard, but it's also good that I know he knows.
Like
because some of the dads, you know, maybe their father and son situation is they weren't on good terms at the time, and there's regret of like, man, I didn't get the last time I saw him, we had a fight, or there's that kind of stuff, you know. And God forbid somebody commits suicide, and then they think, oh, it's my fault, you know, and it's like, or an overdose or whatever. So. And they didn't get that. They didn't get that the last time we were, you know, no, we had talked on the phone on the drive, but like on that Saturday, the last time we were together physically before the accident, hug, love you, you know, every time, every single day. Even if we were just going to go eat right after we just got done throwing, we were doing that, you know. And so so I know that he and I were in a good spot.
It's like if it were God's plan, God's plan was that Sage was going to die May the 18th of 2020, and that was the plan, not his will, but however the plan was, I assume that the details, I always look at that year of sobriety he had before as a gift.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
I was hoping that gift, but I was much hope, and it was amazing. And similarly, that time that you
had an amazing last year with your son, and we had an amazing, you know, 4 months with Grant as a family.
And those, you know, it's if God can do the plan, he can certainly do the gift too. You know what I mean? It's like he's this capable of what's there. It was funny. One last thing I was going to just mention when we talked about like your dad, your stepfather, but your father that raised you has cancer, whatever. I just have I'm not Dr. Kevorkian, you know, I'm not trying to off anybody, but man, when my wife's grandfather died, he was the sweetest little man, little Italian man you've ever seen at 96. I was so happy for him. Yeah. I was so happy. And there was no conflicted emotions in that. I can be really happy out of funeral and go, oh, good for you. In fact, every now and then we're like, man, I'm kind of jealous. I mean, when it's time to go, it's time to go. I'm enjoying, in some ways, I feel like I'm actually living more and better now than I did before, because I just don't have to worry. I don't care what people think. I'm not worried. I'm just afraid of dying. Definitely not afraid of dying.
Right.
It's like ready when it's time. And at the same time, trying to make the most of every minute that I'm here. And that's none of those are things that I did before.
Right. Well, and to that end, what you're talking about right now, I've been in the hospital with my dad a lot the past week, and we've talked about this more than once. And he's brought it up. He's like, you know, if I go tonight, he always mentions I'm going to see Grant.
Oh, yeah.
And gets emotional. And he said, I'm okay. Like, I'm okay. If I go tonight, I'm okay, because I'm going to get to see him. And he only made it to 18, and I made it to 80 or 81 or whatever he ends up being. He's 80 right now. And so he's not afraid of dying, where maybe prior to 5 years ago, he might've been.
Yeah.
And same, my mom a year and a half ago had a stroke, and she said she was nervous for a minute. She was in the ambulance on the way to the hospital. And all of a sudden, as soon as she got into the ambulance, she felt Grant's presence, and all of a sudden she felt peace and was like, I'm okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so our kids are having impacts on multiple people here years after they're gone.
Oh, and the impact that we have in this group and what we do. I'll say this is a little microcosm. Right before Sage died, I was going to sell my Harley, because I'm getting in my 50s and it's probably not that safe. So I was going to sell my Harley right before Sage died. Well, now I have another one. So, you know what I mean? Not the fear has left the building.
Yeah.
Like Elvis. And,
oh yeah. There is no fear of dying anymore.
Yeah.
Now, like we say, we're not running and jumping in traffic, but if I go tomorrow, I
fear discomfort a little bit, although I'm way better about that too. I can introduce some discomfort in life. I'm a little afraid of the dying experience, but I'm not afraid of walking through the door. I'm ready. So that said, thank you for. I just think it's the first time that you've publicly talked about this. Thank you for talking about it. I think it's helpful to people that might be in a situation where I have been the person accused of something that's not true in public. And it feels really helpless, and it's really painful, and it can help people it just can help people in that situation, number one.
Well,
and another thing is you also get to speak to your daughter and how much you love her, and just put that out there, and then it's there.
Yeah. And that's important.
I'm sorry you're going through it. It's crazy. God does have a plan. I assume you'll have some questions when you get there. You know
I think we all will. Like, hey man, what about that
questions.
day on that? You know, what was that about? But well, thank you for having me, and thank you for being an awesome friend and helping me through this journey that we have.
I appreciate you. Thanks for helping me too.
Yeah.
All right, man.
All right.
Love you, buddy.
Love you.
Appreciate it, brother.
Thank you for tuning in to the Good Grief, Good God Show. New episodes drop on the first and third Tuesdays, so be sure to like, subscribe, and leave us a comment or review. We would love to hear from you. The Good Grief, Good God Show is brought to you in loving memory of Sage